warm, nice and calm. You're almost there.
Yeah, I did it. I cried 2 tears in a bucket. Fuck it. Let's take it to the stage.
You dig it? You knock a dude down, you get some respect.
Hey, what's going on? Happy Monday, and welcome to the Black Man Unfiltered Network. Our Payne here, your favorite baby boomer. Anyway, hey, listen, we got a good one for you today. I don't know how deep we're going to get, but you look at the title. But before we get to all of that, I'm just saying, kind of enjoying the Monday. The weeks go by so fast, man. Jeez. And it's tax season for me. It's like the worst time of the year. And it's not like I have to pay all that much taxes, or sometimes I get some back. I just can't stand doing them. And I've been doing them so long, it seems crazy to just hand them off to somebody else. So, I'm going to get, personally, I'm going to try to get them done before the end of March, which is this week, and, so I'll probably do that. I mean, it's kind of straightforward. My life is not all that complicated. But like I said, it's tax season. We're going to put to test that fact that we're supposed to all get back more money than ever before and all that other horse shit. So we'll see. I usually try to make sure my deductions and everything else kind of work out as close to zero as possible. I don't use a cash refund as an investment strategy. Don't want to give the government any kind of money to borrow interest free, and I try not to owe them too much either. So I'm just trying to be fiscally responsible. So that's me. I've been that way for years. I'd rather have my own money in pocket so I can invest it the way I want to, and so nobody's taking advantage of it. So that's where we are, right? We're in tax season, and once that's over, I always breathe a sigh of relief. It's like an exhale kind of situation. So that's where we are. So now, those of you who are in here, I would imagine y'all seen the thumbnail. And the thumbnail is, we had to start somewhere. So we started F, and we can only go up. And so it's not an indictment. It's like, hey, what grade do you think the Black community is at this point? From where we came from to where we are now, if you had to be honest with all the data and all the things, what do you think the state of the Black community is? And when I say Black community or African American community, I'm talking about American Black community up to and including the immigrants who are legally here as Black Americans, right? From the Caribbean and from Africa. And some of the things and challenges we have with those people, go pro and con. And so we're going to look at it. So I have this video that I'm going to play, and it talks about the numbers, the state of the Black community. And it's a positive light. But what the numbers don't tell you is what's behind all of those numbers. What's the reality on the street, as opposed to the reality of course, numbers that don't lie. The only critique I would have is that they don't put up exactly where they get all their numbers from. But we've probably seen these numbers so often and been referred to from Blacks Online, not Blacks Online, but blackdemographics.com or some other CDC. They do mention the CDC report. And some other things, okay? So the numbers are not so far-fetched, but we could talk about them and say, well, how are we doing in these categories, right? So I think we could have some. So anybody, I'm gonna drop the link, and anybody want to come up and say, "Hey, I want to give you a grade." Now, if you're here, hit the like button. Hit the like button, and when we get started, or before we get started, put in the chat what you think the overall grade is already. You know, before you say anything else, what do you think the grade is? If you had to grade the Black community honestly, what would you give it? From A to F. From A to F. And if you give it an A, put a little message in there on why you give it an A. If you give it an F, tell us why you give it an F, or any other one of the designations. You know, so that gives us a little bit of feedback on what people are thinking out there. You know, so and listen, I just came up with this after seeing all the stuff that went on in Houston and the things that's going on in Miami, and not Miami, but Daytona, and some other kind of things. Just being on social media and listening to what people are talking about, and trying to say, well, okay, you got to separate social media from quote unquote real life. But the numbers on social media are so high, it's hard to say it doesn't reflect a lot of what's going on in the street. So anyway, so what grade will you give to Black America? And let's just talk about it. You know, that's what I'm here for. We're gonna have just a conversation on it, or at least I'm gonna talk to you about what I see. And if y'all come up, or y'all want to come up, or y'all want to just put something in the chat, you could do that. So let's go. I have a little icebreaker for. I always have an icebreaker. This one is not funny. This one is something that I've heard before, and I'm going to share it with you right now. And we're going to listen to my man, Smokey Robinson, what he thinks about being an African American. You might have heard this before, and if not, you're going to hear it now.
You have said that you resent the idea of being called an African American, that
Yes.
you are a Black American.
Yes.
Explain.
I think that when they call Black people who were born and raised for generations in this country, if you accept the handle of African American, that says that you don't accept being an American American. You don't accept being born in Chicago or New York or Detroit or wherever you were born. For generations, your family has been here, you know, built this country too. Sweat and tears and all that, you know, fought in every war, okay? So this is my country here. So I don't want to be called African American. I'm an American American. My people have died and done everything for this country.
You have said that you
Listen, I just wanted to show that because I agree with him 100%. 100%. I don't agree with that designation. I have a lot of problems with the designation of African American and or being called Black. Either one of them, I really don't like. Now, for the purposes of conversation, and if you're on YouTube, you know, saying you're African American or saying you're Black, it's something that furthers the conversation along, as opposed to saying, well, I don't want to be called this, I don't want to be called that. I certainly don't. One of the things, and the reason why I don't, and here's the thing, I agree with Africans and Caribbean people. A lot of them don't like to be called Black, okay? And a lot of them don't like to be called Black because they have a national designation that if you call, for example, a Nigerian Black or an Ethiopian Black or a Somalian Black, they say, no, I'm not Black, I'm Somali. You know, and one of the things that we lost as Black Americans is that our answer really should be that, yeah, I'm not Black, I'm an American. You know, that's the point. You know, we have trouble as melanated Americans born here for generations to say, I'm an American. It's like you're breaking some kind of, blackity black code, but not identifying yourself as Black first and then American second. And I think that psychologically breaks us. It psychologically puts us in a mold where people could exploit the fact that we think that so many American Blacks think they're less than every other American. And nothing could be further from the truth. And one of the biggest reasons why is because we have receipts for what we've done for this country. The average white boy don't have no goddamn receipts, but the average black from FBA to ADOS, we have historical receipts on what we did for this country. Nobody can really lay down anything more to have moved this country forward than a foundational black American. Think about it. From constitutional amendments to all kinds of stuff based solely for us being here, that shaped the way America has moved into the future. And we don't like it. For some reason, we like to keep that shit on the cutting room floor. I think that's crazy. So I agree with Smokey 100%. I don't like being called African American. I've never been there. I don't identify with being African. Nothing against my African brothers with the traditions and all that shit that they have, So, what's up, champ? I don't know if you want to come up or not. I'm going to just drop the link because I'm going to be going through a lot of this stuff. So you're going to have to bear with me, but here it is anyway. So you're welcome, whatever. So anyhow, that's what I wanted to start out with. And then I'm going to get into this link I found about the state of Black America. It's not that old. It's like a year old. So it's pretty current. And we're going to go through it. I'm going to stop and start it, of course. But here's a couple of things. As we rate the quote unquote plight or success of Black America, besides the folks who are making it in the corporate world and the entrepreneurs and the people who are educated and all those kind of good things, right? How do we rate the impact of the STD rates in our communities? How do we rate events like destroying the Houston rodeo or the spring, everywhere we go for spring break, they have to change laws to kick us out. How do we the incessant battle between the genders and the gotcha moments from the women to the men, from the men to the women? I mean, how do we rate ourselves? And who is the puppet masters on top of that? The puppet masters just like playing the strings, and look at us destroying each other like idiots. Well, what kind of grade do you? That's susceptibility to the puppet mastery of the people at the top. What kind of grade will you give a demographic for being so vulnerable to things like that? You know what I'm saying? I mean, the most vulnerable people in the world. What's going on? To tell you how you doing. Welcome. So I'm gonna play that video because I'd like the video from this group because it uses numbers, but it's couched in a positive light, which is okay. So we're gonna stop it after certain segments and say, well, is it really that positive if you look through the numbers? Without even denying whether the numbers are real, can we still look behind the numbers and see what's going on the ground as well? And just feel free to comment. What's your grade for the Black community? So let's get started. And see, I like this because this is not going to be a long live or anything like that. That wasn't my intent, and it isn't my intent. But we're going to just go ahead and get started anyway. All right, let me do this. All right.
Graphics to household income, education levels, and family dynamics, these numbers tell a powerful story of growth, resilience, and opportunity in Black communities across the country. Thank you for joining us as we dive into the key statistics that highlight the Black American population. So without further ado, let's get started. The Black population in the United States has experienced significant growth over the past 2 decades. In 2022, an estimated 47.9 million people self-identified as Black, accounting for approximately 14.4% of the total U.S. population. This represents a 32% increase compared to the year 2000, when the Black population stood at 36.2 million. Several factors have contributed to this growth, including natural population increases, immigration from African and Caribbean nations, and a notable rise in multiracial identities. This demographic shift highlights not only the growing presence, but also the increasing diversity of the Black population in America, influencing cultural, social, and economic landscapes across the nation.
So let me stop that right there, okay? Because they made a statement that is true, but let's look behind just those numbers, okay? And thanks, Man Williams, thanks for the B+. That's cool. The B-, what you got there? So let's look at this for a second, okay? So I put together this little chart when he talks about the Black community, Black American community has grown to over 47 million, but it includes, Africans, and it includes Caribbean folks who have naturalized and become Americans. And with that, it's not all peachy keen and it's not all smooth. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not all smooth, right? We have, the Tariq Nasheeds, who comes up with this foundational Black American thing. By the way, he has that trademarked, I believe. So I don't know how he makes money on it, but he could. So we got a group of people calling themselves FBA. We got a group of people calling them ADOS, calling themselves, American descendants of slavery. Now, where this comes into play is if we ever really talked about reparations, because both of those groups look on a great deal of the foreign Blacks as a derogatory term as tethers, right? It's very derogatory. And it's not all folks who are from African or Caribbean countries, but the fact they call them tethers is one way of saying they're not entitled to the reparations if we ever got them, because they're not foundational Black Americans. Now, I think that's a mistake. I think that's terrible. And it's just another thing to divide us. You know what I'm saying? And even though they have their own view of being American in this country, just like any other nationalized immigrants, doesn't make them any less than a brother. But of course, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. That's what that means. So it's not all peachy keen that there's 47 million of us now. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, Either Man? Let me put you up here. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Not much, man. I want to have this conversation because all foreigners are not tethers, man. I know you're a boomer, man, and you don't know all the lingo. So I said, let me come up here and educate them a little bit.
I didn't say that.
No, what I'm saying, so basically, when you talk about people from the Caribbean, foreigners, we don't consider all foreigners as tethers.
I hear you, but I didn't say that. I said that there's a growing group of Blacks, Americans who say that. I didn't say I said it. I don't subscribe to that. That's why.
No, I'm saying they don't say it either. That's the point that I'm saying. They're not saying that all foreigners are terrorists. Like even when they go into defining the tether group, those are people who have chosen to go against Black people and say that Black people shouldn't get reparations and all that. Now we do have a group of like Caribbeans that are on our side. We don't consider them FBA, but we also don't consider them as tethers. They're not tethers because they're on the mission, not against the mission.
Well, listen, and when you start to try to make those kind of fine distinctions, a lot of stuff gets lost in translation, because everybody who talks about tethers don't start out with that delineation. They just say tethers, And so I hear what you're saying, but why even have that designation at all?
Because we're not the same. See, and that's the interesting part about like your whole theory, right? So you can't just go and hold on. We don't go and just say Asians are Asians and all Asians should be the same. We talk about Chinese, We talk about Japanese, Vietnamese. We talk about
Okay.
the Laos people. All right. We don't call all white people the same. We say that they got the Irish. We say they got the group that we can't talk about. We say all this. So everybody else can say we're not the same in their groups. They're not saying they're not a part of that group. They're just saying we're not the same. As soon as black people say, hey, we're all not the same, and then now we got to be lumped in all together. Why is
No,
that?
I think you're mischaracterizing what I said. And I didn't say we have to be locked into each other. Why we came up with the word tether in the first place. If you're talking about a person from the Caribbean, whether they're from Barbados or whether they're from Jamaica, hey, listen, there's enough people who are FBA who just use the term tether. I've been on the internet streets a lot, and they say that. They don't come out with this explanation that you're talking about, even though I don't disagree with what you're saying. But when you start using derogatory terms, just like when some people say the N-word, right? Some people have to distinguish, I'm not an N-word. So I'm just trying to say, I just think that when we look at it, some folks who come here and naturalize from these other countries, whether it's the Caribbean or Africa, some of them talk against Black Americans. That's true. That is true. And some are more leaning one way or the other. But the point is, there are people who identify FBA, and ADOS who don't go through the distinctions when they talk about tethers.
Yeah, and we understand that it's nuance, and I'm not,
That's what I'm saying.
every group got idiots in it. I don't care what group you have, you're gonna have people that's far one way, right? And so I'm just telling you that when you actually go deep in these conversations, I done been deep in these conversations. They say, hey,
Right.
we're not saying that all foreigners are the same. If you're a foreigner, you automatically this. These are people, we have literally had people who said is completely against, like, if you really start hearing some foreign black people talk, they believe that they're better than FBA.
Yes, they do.
And they also believe that they're not a part of us. So they decide that they're different from us. But when we decide that they're different from us, then it's a problem. These people, I've been hearing this.
Go ahead. I don't think that's a problem. I think that's justified for us pushing back against those kind of people. I agree with that.
Yeah, and I grew up with my best friend growing up was from St. Thomas, right?
Okay.
And I remember his mama used to tell me all the time, she said, I got no problem with him hanging around you, but he don't need to be around them other niggas, them other FBA. Hey, they purposely say, hey, stay away from that group because they feel that a quote unquote FBA is something wrong with those people. And so they have been telling us this our whole life. If you ever been around foreigners, they feel that they're better than us. They think they're smarter than us. They think that we waste the opportunity. And believe it or not, they're building a foundation on what our ancestors built.
No, I agree. I do agree. I think, first of all, a lot of people, not just blacks, foreign blacks, but every immigrant who comes to this country is building a future on what our ancestors built.
Absolutely.
Not to mention just a white man.
So
What I'm
yes,
saying?
you're 100% right. So that's the only point that I'm saying is
Yeah.
I think it's okay. It's okay for us to say, hey, we are one group of black people and they're good. And you're right. Let me give you this. You're right. Maybe we need to stop saying the word tether, but I understand why they say tether. Maybe
Right.
we need to say, hey, those are the Caribbean blacks, or those are the African blacks, or those are the Nigerian Americans, right? I think that might be more proper to say, and I kind of get that, but you got to understand this is what we do. We use the N words. We have slang words for people. Like that's what I'm saying. So it's not uncommon in the black community for us to make a word to kind of characterize a group of people in our community. So they're not special. That's the point that I'm making.
I'm with you there. I'm with you there. But here's one of the things that goes along with what you're saying about some foreign blacks, and this thing has been viral, and you might have seen this before, from a Somali guy who tells people what he thinks about Black Americans.
Most of the people that we meet especially African Americans, they don't even know their fathers. They don't even know their fathers. It was all of them, or most of them were the product of one night stand. One night stand. They will tell you, I don't know my father. Well, who named you? Whose name are you carrying? Well, my mother chose his name for me. You know, I don't know. Is that what we want for our ummah? No. كلهم أو معظمهم أبناء الزنا. أبناء الزنا. Why? Because man, he has to give up the seed. And because the marriage will limit them, they will go from one to another to a third. You know, subhanAllah, it's one of the African American brothers.
All right, so that's enough of that. Okay. You know, so that's why we have problems with some of these guys.
And it's a lie. Like you can
And it's a
literally
lie.
pull up, and let's just say you can pull up the data, and one night stands is not the number one way that people get pregnant. It's usually
agree.
some form of a relationship, right? Like it's somebody that like, I don't know why people think that you can just sleep with somebody one time. I'm not saying that it can't happen, but it's actually the most rare. The person that you usually get pregnant with, you were sleeping with for a while, over and over and over again before you got pregnant with. But yeah, so but that's what I'm saying is that when we hear teachings like this, and I'm telling you, we can go through the internet, we'll be here all night of all the stuff that they say. So they long time ago made a distinction against us, and we've been lumping everybody into the black community. But we realized, like you said, all skin folks ain't kin folks.
Yeah. And it's just so true. You know, so I just try to you know, try to just make it a second. So I was going to go back to the other thing I had so we can continue. Let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of that. And there's a couple of parts to this annual report that I like. So let me go ahead. Oh, yeah, let me just click on it.
The black population in the United States has experienced significant growth over the past 2 decades. In 2022, an estimated 47.9 million people self-identified as black, accounting for approximately 14.4% of the total U.S. population. This represents a 32% increase compared to the year 2000, when the black population stood at 36.2 million. Several factors have contributed to this growth, including natural population increases, immigration from African and Caribbean nations, and a notable rise in multiracial identities. This demographic shift highlights not only the growing presence, but also the increasing diversity of the black population in America, influencing cultural, social, and economic landscapes across the nation. In the United States, the black population is slightly more female than male, with women making up 52% of the total black population and men making up the remaining 48%. There are several factors that contribute to the gender imbalance in the black population, including shorter lifespans for black men, as well as imprisonment.
Now, when the guy said imprisonment, that does not impact the black population in terms of men. You know what I'm saying? It's not like when they go to jail, they don't exist anymore. In fact, a lot of male prisoners, black male prisoners, have families. So I don't like that, putting that part in there, because that doesn't change the numbers.
Yeah, I think that it was disingenuous, because if we really want to know about it, it's truthfully, it's a movement going on that people are choosing not to keep. If it's a boy, don't keep it. If it's a girl, keep it. And we've been seeing this from the biblical days. This ain't nothing new, right? So it have always been attack on the men, right? And so the one thing is I do think that what really is men are more dangerous than women. We do things that come get us closer to death than women. So I think it really just the type of life that we live. I'm curious to see what that 1% or 2%, like numbers wise, what it look like. Because I'm thinking 47 million, half of 47 million is what, 27 million. So 1% of 27 million is what, an extra 200,000 ish. I'm just doing the
Yeah.
numbers in my head.
Well, I mean, I hear like just like maybe a million or so more women out there.
Well,
You
not a
know,
million, because if it was a million, that would be like if
well,
it.
from 52% to 48%, right? So even if you cut it in half, right, for 47, what's that? 20,
Yes,
27,
yes, so
28.5.
yes. That's what I'm saying. It's about 200,000. About 200,000. It's like 200,000 more women than men. Um, Yeah, so about 200 roughly. And I'm doing it, like I said, the number because 27, you're looking at roughly 25 and 25 million, 1% of 25 million, you're looking at about 200,000, 250,000. So
Well,
like a quarter.
okay, yeah, and listen, and really, that probably, if we looked at every demographic, it ain't probably that much difference. Like
Yeah,
more
yeah.
white women and men, white men, Hispanic women and Hispanic men in America. I would imagine women probably have more than the men.
And I think it's just we do more dangerous jobs. So like you don't hear about a woman dying on the oil,
Really,
yeah,
yeah.
you don't hear
The
about
coal mine.
or mine
Yeah,
or women, men or women in the mines. Like it's just so many things that factors that I would say is just we're higher risk. Like when you carry that protector badge, it's a good chance that you're gonna die before her. That's
yeah, no
just
doubt.
The life expectancy for black women is 7 years higher than that of black men.
Now 7 years high sounds like a lot. You
it's
know,
not. It's not though. Like
but
that's what I said.
it's
7 years. Think about it like this. If you died at if you died at 90, she died at 97.
right. I mean, it depends on
80
what we're
is
talking
it,
about.
it's not a lot when you understand that. And I think it's going to change. I think that 7 years is going to change now that women are trying to get more equal jobs, so into the work field and work. Because typically women would take off these period of times when they was pregnant, but
Right,
now these women are now working
right up until
40
the baby.
years,
Right.
or working these long period of times in the workforce. I really believe that we're gonna see that gap change, in my opinion. But it might just be my opinion.
No, no, I do hear you. Yeah, you're right. Uh, let's see what else do we have here. Okay, let's keep going for a second. Let me just keep going.
The U.S. black population is notably younger than the overall U.S. population, with a median age of 32 years. This is nearly 6 years younger than the median age of the total U.S. population, which stands at 38 years. This youthful demographic is underscored by the fact that roughly 30% of the black population is under the age of 20, showcasing a large, vibrant, younger generation. In contrast, only 12% of the black population is aged.
All right, so let's look at this chart for a second, right? The way they got it set up is pretty accurate to the generations, right? This is the baby boomer up at 65 plus. The Gen Xers, right? 10 million. The millennials, the Gen Zs, and then now the alphas, okay? Less than 18 years old. But we got a major problem with the
65 or older compared to higher proportions of seniors in the broader U.S. population.
But hold on, pause it. What do
Go
you
ahead.
think the problem with the alphas is?
I was gonna show you.
Oh, okay. Oh, go ahead. You to the plate.
I was gonna show you because they're not learning the way they need to, right? They're not really attuned to the educational system the way it's being presented to them.
Yeah,
And
because
go ahead.
no, and it's not the alpha. This is the I think the misleading. They said they're not learning. It's because they don't have to.
Well, okay, but
Let me
okay,
tell you
go
why
ahead.
they don't have to.
Okay,
Listen, now it was no. I remember like it was nothing I can go to right and say let me get the answers. AI is making it where why would I learn something that I can go to a system and get it to in seconds?
no,
Like
no, okay.
so I just think that AI have changed the game, and now kids are saying this stuff is useless because I will have a system. And I'm not saying that they always have the system, but you got to remember, we learned a lot less because we had the internet, right? So we always had so we learned a lot of lessons, a lot of things that we didn't retain. But Alpha is smarter than the millennials. The things that they doing at a younger age, they are smarter. They're just not using things that I believe is going to be obsolete in the future. Like, you know what's obsolete right now? I remember your generation. Oh, y'all thought it was important to remember them numbers. They said, I know everybody number. I know my mama number, my grandpa number. You knew all that.
Yeah.
That was important. And then people would look at my generation as like, you don't know how to remember numbers. That is important. But when you really look at it 15 years later, us not knowing how to remember numbers was not important for our growth. You get what I'm saying? So it's some things that we're looking at in the education system that it looks important because we based it on past generations. But if you actually look at where we going, that stuff ain't gonna be important.
A day because the teacher rolled in that dusty, bulging TV, and you were.
Let's talk about that because I don't disagree with you in principle, but some fundamentals are required and they're timeless, right? So I think that even when you're younger, there's got to be some fundamentals that you have. Like, for example, when you talk about remembering numbers, for the most part, none of us want to remember phone numbers because we could just look it up in our phone. And then it becomes important if you ever lose your phone and you're stranded somewhere, right? So, whether you know 100 numbers, you probably need to know at least one by memory. So I'm just trying to say, but there's more to it than just having so much stimuli that makes you smarter. There's got to be some infrastructure for wanting to learn, right? So it may not be wanting to learn the way we did as a baby boomer or a Gen Xer or a millennial even. But there's got to be some, because when these kids get into the workforce, there's some fundamentals that they're still missing if they get there. But let's just kind of listen to this, and you can tell me whether you agree with some of it or not.
Gonna watch a movie. Even if it was some weird educational or Bill Nye Schoolhouse Rock movie, it was gonna be a good day. The kids today can't even watch a movie. All right, they don't consume plot-based media.
I have a sister that was born in 2012, and I was trying to connect with her. I was like, so girl, like, what's cool on the Disney Channel these days? She looks me dead in the eye and goes, I don't watch plot-based media.
So we don't have to make anything big of that, but what do you think about just that one example?
Yeah, I think that's our sister because the Avatar came out Christmas Day, right?
Yes.
And me and my daughter sat through a 4-hour movie and watched it together.
Okay, so that's not necessarily true, right? Okay.
Yeah. I think it's not. Well, first of all, white people and black people are different. Let me say that. I don't know what they got going over there. I want to put that out there. I don't know what they got.
Okay.
But I do believe. I don't know. Like I said, it's hard because we do movie nights still in my family. That's big. Like popcorn. Like my kids look forward to me taking off work and do that. But I'm looking at the movie theaters. Yes, they're making a lot more money. I mean, less money than they made in the past. I give you that. But they're still selling out. Like a lot of things is I think that a lot of movies was wrote ways in the past. And so what we gotta do is understand what kind of help them what they want to see. Because if we put it in the movie theater, they'll go watch it. Let me give you an example. Hold on. Let me give you an example for that. A good example is, did you see the numbers of what happened on Minecraft, the movie?
No, I didn't.
It was crazy. They was doing crazy numbers, right? It's just that's their lane. They don't want to look at no love stuff because half of them ain't in love and half of them ain't having no sex, right? So they don't like those type movies, these romantic movies that maybe women of the past want. It's like we don't care about that stuff.
They don't make those movies for kids anyway, though. So let's just remember now we're talking about Gen Alphas, right? So they're young.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, but I hear you because I don't disagree. I forgot. Minecraft was a big hit with the kids because they played a video game.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Plot-based media, that's just everything that isn't TikTok. We're at the point where kids are learning the 6-7 meme before they're learning the numbers 6 and 7. You will have kids who don't know how to count, and they're learning how to count, and as they learn how to count, they find the number 6 next to the number 7, and they just explode.
6. No, 6.
That worked out.
But this stuff, it's not just amusing, it's nefarious. We have reports from educational foundations that not only can Gen Alpha not read, not do math, not speak English, but literally their IQ is falling. Until now, every generation's IQ has increased. That's what's called the Flynn effect. Until today, studies now.
So you disagree with that?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Because the IQ, the old IQ was based on the metrics of the past. That's listen. We are literally trying to measure people today based on what we thought IQ was, because it was important. Like if you couldn't read and you couldn't do math in the past, I'm telling you that was a big deal. But now, I know people. I had this conversation. Everybody thought I was crazy. I was like, math is not going to be as important in 20 to 40 years to me. I think it's going to be one of those things that, yes, it's cool if you have it. It's almost like, do you remember math? Let me land it here. I got you. Listen, do you remember math before the calculator, how important it was?
Yes, I do.
After the calculator, math got a little bit less important. I remember growing up, before we was able to use a calculator, we had to know our multiplications. We had to know those things. But as they really start bridging into the calculator era, right? Because we've seen this happen in other eras. Right. The generation behind me, they did not know basic math because they had a calculator. They had a calculator on their phone. And so now with us coming with AI, I get it. Listen. You right. We all bad. Every generation except your generation. If World War II happened, III, and we go back to the Stone Age, everybody go do it. But in this modern generation, I think people are gonna be all right.
Yeah, but okay. Listen, I understand. Well, anybody who understands the evolution from math from the calculator age all the way up until where they let us use it on a test inside of a classroom. There's no way of getting around being able to read. You got to be able to read. I mean, how are you going to live in life if you can't read? How are you going to read? You're going to have AI scan your contracts, or I mean, you got to be able to do the fundamental reading. I don't care. That's ageless.
But no, I get what you're saying. But like reading, for example, I remember I was part of this company and they was spending close to, I think they said $750,000 for lawyers to go through contracts. Right now, they pay $12,000 a year. They upload contracts into an AI system. And you know, the AI it says, this is what this contract said. And it abbreviated, it breaks it down. It actually does better than the lawyer. I'm telling you, it does way better than those lawyers would have did.
You're at a whole higher level of abstraction where I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm talking about the individual person. And if you ain't reading contracts all the time, and I use contracts as an example, but as an individual man and woman, how you got to be able to read fundamentally.
I don't think so, because I've been hearing this statistic.
You can't put everything through a damn AI generator.
That's because you're thinking of the past. Listen, I've been hearing this forever. They said black men read at a 3rd grade level, and they say we've been doing that for 100 years. I'm telling you what they say. They said that if you take the black men, think about what I'm saying, R-Pain.
I'm hearing you.
They said we've been reading at a 3rd grade. I think it's BS, but we've been reading at 3rd grade for 100 years. And you know what I see? Black men have elevated.
That's
now
right. They can read.
And now I'm saying that what we looking at, and kids can read. I can go in here and show you a 5-year-old that can read a story to you, right?
Yeah, but you're giving me, I mean, of course I could find, my daughter was reading that.
I think the majority of kids can read. Let me say that, right? The majority of kids can read.
That's not what the school teachers are saying, though.
No, that's not what this white man is saying. Listen. This is why we do
this guy. I mean, I just didn't upload 100 different videos from school teachers.
They're lying to you. Listen, I'm telling
you about that.
Let me tell you what they do. This is what they do. They got 20 people in the class, R-Pain, and they focus on the 2 people in the class that can't read. And let me give you a news pass. Guess what? Them 2 people who couldn't read was in your grade too. Like, we always had people throughout our whole life who was illiterate. We had Fantasia. We had R. Kelly. Like, I'm telling you, like, it's not the majority. That's the point that I'm saying. It is not the majority like they trying to paint. I promise you it's not.
Listen, all I'm trying to say is that every kid who goes to school, and some are going to get left behind until they said no kid left behind, and they start just doing those, moving people forward. whether they had the aptitude or not. For you to say that there's no phenomenon that we need to be concerned about with Gen Alpha, okay, it's not in yet because they're so young. I can give you that. But you can't say that everybody's a part of this massive conspiracy saying that Gen Alpha kids might have problems with their learning abilities because it's the few. These are young people. This white boy that we have here is not this white boy is probably a millennial. He's not a baby boomer.
Let me tell you what's happening because you're missing it. Y'all, they said the same thing about the millennials. I don't know if you remember this. They said the millennials, they lazy. They can't read. They can't. I'm telling you, they said this about my generation. We heard it. Guess what? The Generation X is saying we don't know what's happening. These kids ain't doing what we doing. Listen, it's always some people have these complex realities inside of them. Our pain where they be like they're scared of the next generation. They say they're not doing what we doing. They told us the same thing. And you know what we doing at our age? We run in circles around these Generation X. Like where we at in our life when they was there at that age, they nowhere close to us. Like the amount of millionaires that we're producing. So listen, I'm not saying that we don't need to read, but it's going to be something totally different. Remember back in the day, if you could not read our pain, what happened was somebody can get over on you. Now with these actual technology, even if people can't read, they're going to be able to use technology still to be in the know. And I'm just telling you, it's just a different world.
Listen, it could be, listen, we could both be right, but we're talking about percentages. It might be a different world, but you still need some fundamentals no matter what world you live in. Right. So because, they have this, and we don't have to believe in every kind of way they stereotype certain generations. For example, they say the Gen Z people have this thing they call a Gen Z stare. Right. You look at them and they look back at you like they're in a Twilight Zone. Right. Whether that's true or not, well, who it is? Somebody wants to come in. You gotta show. We gotta see what you look like on camera, brother. Or sister, whoever it is.
I'm gonna have to switch to when I come up I'll be
I didn't see you.
Hey, but I'm gonna have to switch to my laptop because my phone about to die.
All right, man. I'm be here.
Yeah,
you in the car, Pan? Wait, home for a second. Are you in the car? Because you got to be on camera, brother. You can't just you got to be on camera to be on stage. That's not my rule. That's the house rules, brother. If you're a man, I can't really see you in the dark. So if you're on a car, you might have to park. Go ahead, Eater Man.
So the point that I'm saying, because I wanted to get out there before I switch, is the point that I want you to understand is that we have to redefine. Like, I remember this. I was so against double gender bathrooms because I was thinking of the past. And then I went to Seattle. Then I went to the Seattle.
Go ahead. Oh, you froze. Damn, bro. You froze. You froze up, Eater Man. All right, man. When you come back, when you get it together, Eater Man, because you froze up, bro. All right. Hey, listen, Pan. I hear you. All right, man. Get off of mute for a second. You gotta get off of mute. Take yourself off of mute. Yeah, what you got to say, man? Are you going? What you got to say, Pan? I can't hear you. Yeah, I still can't hear you. Maybe I have to go out and come in. Hey, listen, I hear what you're saying, but you might have to sit this one out. Because actually I can't hear you if you're off mute. You're off mute, but I can't hear you. So you might be muted somewhere else. Anyway, let me go ahead and continue this and continue this one and see what else he has to say, because I wanted to get to a certain level with this particular live.
now find a 12-point gap between Gen Z and Gen Alpha, which can be the difference between being a little slow and having Down syndrome. The Alphites have 30% lower attention spans. Only 30% of fourth graders can read at grade level. Half of these elementary schoolers rely on AI for their schoolwork and only speak in brain rot. We're on the eve of destruction. But the researchers try to make us feel better. You know how? The Alphites have better than expected spatial reasoning skills because of all their time in Roblox. Are you kidding me? That's what you've got to make us feel better? It's like, say what you will about that Ted Bundy guy, but he knew how to fix a car. Like, that's the upside here. But the actual upside is since IQs have been always rising over time, and for the first time they're dropping, that does mean Gen Z is the peak of human intelligence. Thank you. I don't make the rules. Teachers are complaining they have to dumb down the curriculum just to push kids through to the next grade.
We are having to dumb down curriculum to get these kids to where they need to be, and they're not getting there. I promise you. And I'm not the only one saying it.
But I don't understand why they're not stressing to y'all how bad it is. Like,
well, see, this is where, like, me and Edith Man gonna always differ. I hear he got his philosophy on what's going down. But like I said, this got to be some fundamentals that translate or transcend generations, and hey, Pan, I can't put you on, man. So I've been told not to put you on, brother, so again, until you can get on fully, I think you might have to sit this one out and just kind of join the chat, bro, because I can't put you on if you can't be on full camera. So, that's per Black Man Unfiltered. So yeah, there you go. No hard feelings. I always like to have somebody to talk to, but we got to be fully compliant to the rules. I was gonna break them for you, but I got admonished for even thinking about it. Anyway, all right. So listen, I want to put some more of some of these guys, because I think these guys are telling the truth. I think I'm not saying we're going to throw Gen Alpha out with the bathwater, because there are some changes that's going on, and all the books. I mean, all the actual story is not finished being told, because they got to get into adulthood to see how they deal with the new technology and the new way of doing business. But man, you got to have some fundamentals. Remember, you could say 2 + 2 = 4. Maybe you don't need that. But to be able to read a book, conjugate a verb, and have a discourse with somebody else without sounding like an idiot, you got to be able to read, man.
I'm not even trying to be funny, but these kids are, I'm going to just say this. I teach 7th grade. They are still performing on the 4th grade level.
They are so used to having a device in their hands at all times that when there comes a time there is no device, they will just start playing it with their thumbs and their fingers in the air as if they do have a device in their hand.
Kids can't follow basic instructions.
Having to teach and work with you guys as children has been the most traumatic experience of my life. I teach 5-year-olds ballet. They don't respect any authority. You ask them, can you stand in your designated spot? They're telling you no and shut up. And another thing that's heart-wrenching is horrifying. Your 5-year-old daughters are asking to listen to Pound Town. I'm playing them Princess Tiana ballet music. And they are asking me, can we hear Pound?
Everyone I know who wants to have kids, regardless of their other...
That's enough of that. So we get the point. Of this one. All right, so we get the point. So let's go ahead and continue with this to the next. I gotta go ahead and fix this. All right, so, well, listen, there's more. I mean, there's absolutely more. So I gotta go ahead and share this again, so we could continue where we are. Where the brothers and sisters are. All right.
With 56% of all Black Americans residing in the region, this reflects historical patterns rooted in the South's cultural and historical significance to Black communities. Many freed Black people stayed in the South to establish communities, churches, schools, and businesses after emancipation. African Americans have a stronger connection to the cultural heritage of the South and are attracted to its economic opportunities as well as its proximity to family. On a state level, Texas, Florida, and Georgia boasts the top 3 states with the largest Black population. Among Black U.S. households, it's split down the middle in terms of who brings home $50,000 a year in income. 49% earned less than $50,000, while 51% made $50,000 or more. A third of Black households, 34%, earned $75,000 or more, including 22% that made $100,000 or more.
All right, so let's stop there for a second about that one. All right, so what do we have to say for ourselves about the income? And what does it really mean? All right. We don't have to have that much about the income, right? We know that we're somewhere down on the lower end of the thing. So let's continue about the money. And they talked about income. And I'll get back to that because if we look at the poverty rate and all that kind of stuff, we could talk about that in the future. So let's continue a little bit.
About 4 in 10 Black people in the U.S. live in households that are headed by married couples. Roughly 3 in 10 Black people live in households whose household head is female.
All right, so 3 in 10 household headed by female. And here's the next coup de grace.
Interesting insight is that 60% of Black children live in 30% of the households.
All right, so that number there, and he skips over it. It says a lot, right? That's an alarming number. Do you know what I'm saying? That is an alarming number, and we'll get into some of the details on why that's alarming as we go through.
However, we must point out that the term single also includes mothers who may be living with but are not married to the father. This could also mean single mother divorcees. Black children live in a variety of family structures, including married, unmarried, and cohabitating, co-parenting, and single parenting households. And these nuances are not accounted for in the census questionnaires and most of the demographic surveys that are cited in the news. Also, we want to point out that children that live with single mothers doesn't mean that the Black father is not involved in their life. It may simply mean that they are not married or no longer married to the mother. In 2013, the CDC published a national study that demonstrated greater involvement of Black fathers in their children's lives compared to other racial groups.
All right, so we could stop that right there. And I like the CDC study is something that we could point out that the Black man is in the kid's life. Again, we all know that the ideal situation is to have the father and the mother in the home together, raising their kids. And there's another thing that I have to say. When we call a woman a single mother or the baby mamarism epidemic that we have, I think a lot of women use I'm a single mother as like a flex, where they're somehow champions of the world because they're raising a kid by themselves, when in fact, that shit's not really true, right? A lot of women who have kids out of wedlock have, and not all, and maybe not the most, but a fair number of them actually take advantage of their mother and their mother and their grandmothers to help them raise the kid. Or they actually have a man helping them out, but they don't give them any excuse my language, to give them any credit for it. And so they're single moms. Oh, woe is me. And I need you this and I need you that, blah, blah, blah. Or some of them are actually rich and they have au pairs and somebody else to help them raise the kid. But they want to have the moniker, I'm a single mom, hear me roar. And I think that skews the statistics from real single mothers who can't make ends meet and their kids grow up in a destructive and very negative light because they're alone trying to raise a kid by themselves because they made a stupid mistake by having a baby by some asshole. All right, so my girl Candace Owens has a little bit to say about the baby mamarism stuff, and I don't disagree with her. Where she's coming from. So let's give you a little bit about from my girl Candy, whether you like her or not.
Women are being socially engineered to hate men, and men are being socially engineered to be gay. There's been a movement originally started by, you guessed it, a psychoanalyst, and that movement is called Single Mothers by Choice.
I'm a single mom by choice. Of course, all my daughter's weird quirks are from her donor. I'm a single mother by choice. Of course, we're spending all the holidays with my side of the family. I'm a single mom by choice. Of course, I'm my daughter's favorite parent.
Of course, we're spending holidays at my parents' house. It's not funny. The nuclear family is the best guard. It is godly, it is wholesome, and it is the best guard that we have against extreme governance. And so when you see these sorts of things, you know, you should obviously exercise extreme compassion for the women who have been brought toward this point in their life, but also recognize that it is, whether you want to accept it or not, a tremendous evil. I believe.
All right. So I don't disagree with her at all about what she just said. Right. So that's one of the problems that we have. And it continues. Okay. So I don't know if it's getting better or worse, but it's there. It's all true, you know. Let me go ahead and get to the next level. All right, so let's get to this one. All right. All right, let's get to the education one. All right, so every so often I click off of this damn thing. All right, let's get to the next one, and let's keep going through this. I like this little demographic thing about the state of the Black community. It's pretty good.
National average, and today, 88% of Black Americans have earned their high school diploma, just shy of the national average. College education levels have also gone up as Black Americans have made significant progress in both enrollment and graduation rates. A little over a quarter of all Black U.S. adults ages 25 and older have a bachelor's degree or some form of college education, and 1 out of 10 Black American adults have earned an advanced degree in the form of a master's, doctoral, or professional degree. Black consumers' collective economic power is $1.8 trillion annually and set to expand dramatically in the next 5 years. Black spending power has grown exponentially over the past decade, outpacing the overall U.S. growth rate. This reflects increasing income levels, educational attainment, and entrepreneurship within the Black community. Black consumers are trendsetters across industries, with their preferences often driving broader cultural and consumer shifts. This is particularly evident in sectors like fashion, music, and media.
Well, let's just talk about, you know, the Black entrepreneur, the Black spending, right? They often throw out those numbers about how much money Black people are spending, but would be much more significant if they were talking about how much Blacks invest in the things that will make our communities more vibrant. Not just spending monies as just crazed consumers like we're mostly doing, where that money leaves the neighborhood, leaves our fingers, and doesn't circulate more than once, you know, in our community. That's one of the biggest things that people talk about reparations, because if you gave everybody a big ass check,
in the past decade,
that money will be gone as fast as it's come, even though that's the individual choice. But would it change anything? You know what I'm saying? Would anything really change other than you have a momentary, rush of cash, and then you're back on your ass right after that? You know what I'm saying? You know, so I think that's what we're talking about. So I don't know. So I think that we need to look at doing better. And so here's a lady talking about, when we talk about economics with Blacks in terms of, let me go ahead and see if we continue to talk about the job market. Let's just talk about this. Let me say before we go, I want to make sure we get in, and I'll catch up on the end. All right. Black spending, blah, blah, blah. Home ownership, we talk about that. The labor market. All right. So we hit all of that already, right? I believe we hit the labor market and we hit some of the other stuff. Did we hit the labor market? Okay. No, we didn't. So let's continue.
Black homeownership rates are increasing at the same rate as the U.S. homeownership rate. However, the homeownership rate for African Americans is almost 30 points behind that of white Americans. Beyond affordability, Black first-time homebuyers also face extra challenges in getting a mortgage. Almost 25% of Black families who applied for home purchases last year were denied, resulting in Black Americans having the highest denial rates for purchase and refinance loans than any other race. The ongoing barriers to home ownership is a testament to the nation's long history of using factors rooted in systemic and structural racism to determine access to a mortgage and consequently access to generational wealth.
Well, we could also say, and being fair, how many of these black folks, and we know we can't deny that there's redlining and some racial discrimination, but you also have to come to the table with with the right requirements to be a homeowner, the right salary, the right credit scores, and all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of, we had the prime lending bust when they were starting to give loans to people who really couldn't afford the houses that they were buying because they broke the rules. The banks got richer. People made money off of the backs of some of the poorest people in the country because they were trying to carry homes they could not afford. You know what I'm saying? So, can you deny racism? Absolutely not. But some of these homes we shouldn't have been in the first place.
There are more than 21 million Black Americans in the U.S. labor force today, representing 13% of all U.S. workers. Our workforce experiences are varied, but there are a number of occupations that we are overrepresented in. For example, we are more likely to be employed in healthcare, social work, and security fields. Black-owned businesses play a vital role in driving economic growth, fostering community resilience, and addressing systemic inequities in the United States. Black entrepreneurs own approximately 3.5 million businesses, which have collectively generated $217 billion in total sales and employed more than 1.2 million people. These enterprises are not only crucial to the economic health of the Black community, but also to the broader U.S. economy. Moreover, Black entrepreneurs bring fresh perspectives, innovative products, and services that expand consumer choices and create new markets.
And nobody can argue with that. Kudos to the Black folks who get out there and make it happen, who hire other people and stuff like that. But if we peel back the onion, besides the folks of us who've made enough money to change the way we live, and for some folks around us, how about the people that get left behind? And is there an obligation to go back and get them? Like, for example, and this is just crazy, and I'm not putting this on anybody because I can't spend anybody's money, but how come we haven't rebuilt a Black Wall Street? Don't we have enough multi-millionaires and billionaires to kind of collectively parcel out some kind of land and kind of structure a place that could be a somewhat utopia for Black folks who are middle class, who can afford their way, or maybe even upper middle class, to start to have your own supermarkets, your own area, maybe your own hospital, your own police department, your own kind of stuff. How come we ain't doing that? And how about the folks that get left behind? Okay, so let's kind of take a look at some of that. Okay, or take a look at how many people are getting hurt based on the job market. Okay, the way it is right now. And is it just a transition, or is it something that we should actually be concerned about, or a little bit of both? Hey, what's about, Edie, man? How you doing?
What's up, brother?
So I want to go ahead and put this up. Let me do full screen.
While there's over 500,000 Black women that are getting laid off and having a hard time finding a job, is because these companies no longer want to deal with any more racism and discrimination cases. Now, I worked in HR for over 10 years, and I was actually let go because I took a look at our budget report and saw the pay differential between our white and Black employees, and I exposed everything, was ultimately let go. Now, being
so she divulged whether she was a whistleblower or she just started saying shit she wasn't supposed to say. I think some of the, and this is out of her own mouth, right? So she saw some data and she couldn't sit on it because she wanted to let other people know. They caught wind of it, and
they should have fired her. They should have fired her.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we talking about. You telling my personal data to everybody, and I know for a fact if she was in HR, she signed privacy agreements that she wasn't gonna do this. I do believe, and this is because I have been a hiring manager, and I used to think it was a race thing. I ain't gonna lie to you, Arpan. Before I became a hiring manager, I thought it was a race thing. But what I believe today, I think Black people have not been shown how to effectively negotiate their salary. I've seen Black people come in and say, "Oh, the job is listed for 60." They say, "All right, cool, I'll take the 60." It's really no conversation. And then I have hired white people, and white people say, I'm not really comfortable with 60. And my budget is like 85, by the way. I can go up to 85, but we start at 60 because we want room, because we know some individuals will negotiate. And what I have seen, especially Black women typically don't negotiate their salary, which is changing a little bit. And usually Black men, they just want to make more than their friends. So if they know their friend on the job making 65, they'd be happy with 70. Versus I have seen more white people walk away from jobs because they say, "Hey, you can't pay me what I feel like I'm worth."
Well, you know, it's funny that you mentioned that. When I got my first job with the Department of Defense, I was like 21 years old, and the guy offered me a grade level. Then I said, "Wait a minute." I said, "Listen, I got the grades, and I have 1 year of experience that says I should be at a higher level as a hiree." And he immediately gave me the bump up, right, from a GS5 to a GS7, just because I said it. It wasn't like he was haggling. He would see what he could have got away with. If I would have just shook my head, I said, "Wait a minute now. I don't belong here. I belong right there." He said, "Okay, yeah, you do." Blah, 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 blah. I said,
But that's protocol. See, most people think it's racism and it's protocol. The protocol is for me to offer you the minimum for the job. Right. And if you don't ask for more, like, cause I was with a company and they fired the lady, and cause she was telling Black people, you can get more money. And she was totally like she didn't have the company best interest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
I hear you. Well, here's my thing, though. You know, and this is another thing I think, and I think this really, really impacts Black women more than anybody else, that they interfere with the cultural fit in a lot of jobs because they complain a lot.
No, Black women work great. Listen. Black women are the best women to work for you. Listen, I know they done lied to you, Arpain. Listen.
No. Well, what jobs you talking about?
I'm telling you all of them. Listen, it's a reason. It's a saying, bro. I wish my woman treated me like she treated her boss. It's a reason. That's the saying. I'm telling you, Black women are like the best, especially if you can get a single Black woman to work for you, Arpain. It's one of the best experiences you can have. I promise you.
One doesn't dispel the other, right? Because there's a tremendous amount of Black women who have issues on the job if they have something to complain about. Right? So it doesn't mean that they ain't good. Wait a minute. It doesn't mean when they're working, they're not good workers. But if it's not comfortable in their orbit, they don't have any. Just like this lady who's about to talk.
What I'm telling you is that she is she's an anomaly. I know that sound. Listen, because I'm just telling you.
I was in the job force for 38 years, so too.
Listen, you telling me that you felt that Black women was not a plus positive for companies?
No, I didn't.
I'm trying to understand what you're saying there. Help me out.
So I'm not talking about all, but it's enough that sometimes, listen, it's never all about anything, but there might be enough to make a difference where these stereotypes come from, right? Just like the angry Black woman stereotype.
That's in relationships, Arpain. That's not in the job market, bro.
I said, they ain't all angry Black women, but there's enough for them who are that taint everybody else. Right?
I'm just telling you, Arpain, it's a lie. I'm telling we don't hear about it like you think we do, Arpain. Especially I'm talking about in the corporate world when you talk about, especially
if they get higher. I have to agree with you.
I'm just telling you that it's not that. I'm telling you, it's a reason. I wish she would treat me. I'm telling men say, treat me like you treat your boss, because she treat her boss real good. I'm telling you that
too. So a couple of things could be true at the same time. So let's hear a little bit more about this lovely young lady and her little journeys about the 500.
But she look crazy. Tell me she don't look crazy.
In HR girly, you're well connected with other women in HR at different companies, and a lot of us had the same experience. We would receive a lot of discrimination cases from Black women in leadership positions. Now, keep in mind, these companies were required to maintain a certain amount of Black and brown staff members at one point, and a lot of these women were ending up in management positions. Black women were at the top of their game for a while. But if they began to be a company nuisance, they would do anything to get their ass out of the door. And when I say a company nuisance, that means reporting discrimination, reporting racism. As soon as you do it, there is a target on your back.
Well, this is all true, right? So she's saying through her experience, when they stop being a cultural fit, that's when they start having trouble.
No, what I'm saying is I don't care if you are a woman, a man, Black, white, if you start being a problem, like when we see Karens, I'm letting you know, when Karens start reporting people, they get rid of them.
I don't disagree with that. No, I hear you. I hear that too. It's not mutually exclusive. White women will get kicked out too.
We fire people who's not a fit for the company, and I'm just telling you, I'm just telling you, if I had a choice for somebody to work for me, definitely a Black woman. Without a doubt.
Okay, I hear you. What's going on, Black America? What's up, man? What you got to say, man? How you doing?
Good afternoon, Either man. You was cooking earlier. Tell Uncle Payne that them old ways is dead. Uncle Payne, we are dinosaurs.
That's why I wasn't gonna let your ass up, because I knew you was the first thing you're gonna get on there. Uncle Payne and shit.
Yeah, you my damn uncle, and I'm old. We're dinosaurs. Hey, you know your phone is obsolete every 6 to 8 months. Time is progressing too fast. But the reason I called up or came up is why would you want, or where would you want us to build a Black Wall Street? You want us to build it here in Vegas? You want us to build it in Colorado? We're not going to be able to even settle on a place to build it, let alone the people that should be able to come there. Uncle Payne, we not as Black people, we're not going to do it.
All right, so
and we got it though. Atlanta is Black Wall Street.
You said Atlanta is already?
Absolutely. Okay. It's from the bottom to the top is Black people. What are we talking about?
Okay. They're in the infrastructure. They're everywhere, right? Black folks are everywhere. Yeah. And so I wasn't predicting where we should put it and where we should have it and all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying, and it kind of makes sense. Am I? Yeah. Okay. Either man's gone. So that's what I'm saying. I'm just spitballing. I think that if we were able to put together a Black Wall Street during the Jim Crow era, why wouldn't we be able to do it now? Quote unquote, Black Wall Street. And either man answered it. Atlanta is pretty much the answer.
Yeah, but Payne, have you ever been to Atlanta?
Yes, I have.
Do you like Atlanta? Is that a place that you
At one point, Atlanta was the place to go. Did it get overpopulated and over destroyed? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? But at one point, Atlanta was the place to go. And
that's all I'm saying. I can't go because I don't like guys that act like girls. So I'm not comfortable I don't like seeing men walk around with purses and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So in Vegas, it's bad enough. We got a couple here and there, but I went out there and I seen too much of it.
Yeah.
So it's just like gangbanging. Yeah, I was a gangbanger when I was young, but you got to get up out of it. It's certain shit that we just can't do. And like I said, I don't care if they are from the top to the bottom. It's debauchery. So it's not something that I would suggest that anybody do.
I'm hearing you. I do hear what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? I do. But again, what we're talking about here is like this lady on here. We were talking about Black women who are listen. These are the numbers they're saying who are kind of under fire now because they're losing some of those jobs that they were so comfortable in but were those jobs? I think those jobs were mostly low hanging fruit for a lot of these companies, right? Because they were populated with, black people, not just black women, but HR jobs, service jobs, some of the jobs that are easy to let go of. Some of the actual organizations that had DEI departments, they were overflowed with people. They just cut those departments out. A lot of those people were black women, so they lost a lot of jobs. So they got these advanced degrees, but what are they in? And so I think that's a change that a lot of sisters are going to have to go through when they start looking at school in the future. Don't just be getting into anything that's just service oriented. So people are talking about STEM and stuff like that. Go ahead, man.
Well, I said, let's be honest. The reason we see a large unemployment rate for black women right now is because the U.S. government was one of the largest employers of black women.
That's another one. Yeah.
So when people say, "Oh, these women are getting fired because they reporting," no. Donald Trump just started letting people go that was in the U.S. government. So that's the point. Is I think she's trying to paint a bad narrative. Is just because black women are now, I guess, telling that's why they're getting fired. No, it's just the U.S. government was the highest job market, and guess what? When they started letting them go, the black women was the first to go. That's just the reality.
But the truth. Go ahead. Who else? You gonna say something?
But see, this is the whole thing. This is the part I don't like, right? Yes, a lot of black women lost their jobs, but over 500,000 black men also lost their jobs in that time. You see what I mean? But nobody wants to focus on the 500,000 black men. They only want to focus on the women. I think I don't like it when people just focus in on the women's problems, like their problems are the only problems that we have as black people. That's all I want.
The reason we didn't focus on black men because they proved that they had somewhere to go. The black women didn't have nowhere to go. See, even when you start looking at those group of 500, I think they said 60% was employed by another company in 3 to 6 months after the layoffs. Like, so that's what I'm saying. We had a large group of people went somewhere else.
Man, it's the same thing for the black women, though.
That's not. That's what I'm telling you. That's not true. They had nowhere to go.
If you look at the BLS, the last BLS report, it all of the numbers is going to show that all of those jobs that they lost, they came back into the fold plus another 10%. I promise you, I just seen it last week is the only reason I brought it up, because I didn't even know that 557,000 black men had lost jobs over the last year. So that's the only reason I'm bringing it up.
Well, so it was two different things. What I'm saying is we saw black women lose jobs and we saw black men change jobs, brother. I'm just telling you what the data say. It looked like black men changed because a lot of black men got in front of it. They knew the layoff was coming. They was already putting applications in. They got in front of this. I'm just telling you what the numbers say. A lot of black women did not get in front of it. That's why they still, if you look at the unemployment rate in the black community right now, it's mostly black women.
Black women have the higher rates. And listen,
their rate is 1% higher than ours. Theirs is like 7.8 and ours is like 7.6. Like it's not too much lopsided.
Yeah, okay, we don't have to argue over the words. The point really is that I think that most men have to be a little bit more, diligent or, about how they make their money. They got to stay on top of it because there's no safety net. There's no safety net for us. So I could see men being a little bit more on top of it. And one of the things we have to admit, and I hate to say this, that when they reduced the government, they reduced the government for everybody. There's a lot of people that went out of work. It wasn't just black and all that. We just had a lot of those jobs that were at the lower end. For a guy who worked in the government for 38 years, I went through a whole lot of reductions in force. And one of the things that saved me is because I was an engineer. But if you were just a technician or just some kind of other laborer, your ass was always on the chopping block, up to and including them closing the whole base, called the Base Reduction Act. So we went out, and I went through a few of those, man. Just by the grace of God, I was able to do 38 years stretch without being out, you know? So I get on my knees and pray to God for that all the time.
Yeah, and I want to, can I respond to somebody in chat, or you don't want me to respond to what
No,
they
go
talk
ahead,
about?
go ahead.
All right, so he said, according to Atlanta Black Star News, research found out that 8% of businesses in Atlanta are Black owned. You don't understand the Atlanta ecosystem. You don't like when people say, hey, no, it's 8% of them file taxes. Let's be clear. If you understand how Atlanta ecosystem works, I promise you that number is off majorly. So yeah, so if you want to go legal businesses, but if you, it's everywhere in Atlanta, I can go and get it Black. I don't care what you're talking about. Even if I gotta pull up to the house and get the pound cake or the I'm telling you, that is the closest. And I think South Carolina is the second where we see the most Black people thriving, without a doubt. So I think people just don't understand that.
Peter, man, are you telling me people selling cake out of their damn house, bro?
I'm telling you, they selling cake out their house. They doing hair out of their house. They selling weave out their house. I'm telling you that they doing all of the above. Whatever you looking for in Atlanta, Atlanta is the one city that you can find it in Black.
That's funny, man. That is pretty funny.
That is crazy.
Yeah, well, I can see that. I mean, yeah, who can't see that? That is true. All right, so what's next? Home ownership.
We're gonna let her finish, or we're gonna go to the next.
Yeah. Let's see what else she got.
These companies will hold meetings with the top management and HR and say, hey, this person's becoming a company nuisance. They're affecting the company morale. What can we do to shorten their time with this company? At which point we would go through all the policies, procedures, your performance, the company handbook, and see if there is anything that they can do to get your ass up out of there. Things like you might have been able to be 15 minutes late consistently due to traffic before, but now they on your ass about your punctuality. You might have been able to come into the office with a bonnet every now and then because you're having a bad hair day, and now you out of dress code. They would look for little things to just target you to make it seem like you are not performing.
I
well
pause it.
Go ahead, man.
Hold on. We gotta be clear.
Those little things.
Hold on. This is important. Me enforcing the rules is not targeting. People got to understand this. If I got a rule that you can't be late, and just because I didn't say nothing and now I'm saying something, you're not being targeted. I am just now enforcing the rules. I saw this in the military. The military, when we was at a time of war, guess what? A lot of stuff passed. A lot of people who should have got kicked out, they let go. But once we got to a time of peace, they start enforcing rules. That is not targeting. We got to stop that. Enforcing the rules is not targeting. That was just a bad point from her.
Well, go ahead, Black America. What you got to say?
And so the things that she said were bad. Wearing a bonnet to work and or out in public, that's automatically bad. Just being late is another thing. Punctuality is very important. And when I'm counseling men, I got another young man. I had to tell him that he needed to shave and get a haircut. So I went and checked on him yesterday, and he got a shave and a haircut. He looks like a decent young man. These people, they just act like you don't got to do this type of shit no more. And people are just going to give you things. I have 6 drivers that work for me. And one of them brung a guy to me with dreadlocks. And I told him, I'm sorry, I can't. He like, oh, nigga, I'm going to sue you for the Crown Act. I'm like, bro, you're representing me and my company. I said, and I'm not doing it. I said, you go tell whoever you want to. It's not being racist. I'm not being racist. I'm telling you, I have a dress code. I'm telling you, and you are not up to code. You know what I mean? So I agree 100% with what you said.
And so do I. And the fact that she could say what she said with a straight face is very alarming. It's very alarming because there's a lot of women and men who probably think that way. you know, and I think that's it's something, you know, I don't know if we can say it's just black people, but for her to get on here and say that, like it's ever okay to be habitually late to a job, it's really, really kind of bad mojo. And for her to be an HR person at that means she wasn't that good at her job. You know?
I'm just telling you, morale is so important in the workforce, especially if you're running a sales team. Like it's certain things, and I want to be clear, it's certain things you can do. Like I believe like you can bring issues up. Like people bring issues up in my time in my company all the time, Arpain.
Yeah,
They
that's
pull
fine.
me to the side, they say, hey, can they butter me up, ain't gonna lie, they go give me some coffee or something, and then we'll sit down in my office away from everybody. We have a conversation. And that's the end of it, right? And I'm gonna address it if it need to be addressed. But you say some crazy stuff like she talking in front of my team, oh, I'm getting rid of you. Absolutely, like because I don't need you to, I don't need you to literally, like I don't need you to affect. I know that's a bad. People don't like that, but I don't need you to be a poison to my team. No, if you got something to say, and when you come out my office, even if I cussed you out, you need to come out of there like we had a good conversation. That's just how I run my team. Like I'm really good at don't let you having a bad day affect somebody else having a day.
Exactly. Let's see what else she got to say.
And obviously, we know that it's retaliation. They know that it's retaliation, but good luck proving that it's retaliation. These companies know that only about 2% of retaliation cases are even going to go anywhere. And before it's all said and done, you're probably going to go broke in lawyer fees and probably just get a really small settlement either way, but you still ain't got no job. And you're not going to get a good referral. They're not going to give you a good referral to another company, actually. Now the DEI is over with and they don't have to hire a certain amount of Black and brown people to keep their shareholders happy, discrimination cases are way down. They're able to use their HR staff to focus in on other claims and other cases. If they reduce the amount of Black women that they keep in the office, they don't have to deal with the whole angry Black woman stereotype. They don't have to deal with the discrimination cases. They don't have to really deal with the racism cases. And I mean, there are some, but it's a way smaller percentage than it was a couple of years ago.
So either man, is she admitting that Black women might have a little bit more angst when it comes to the climate of a typical job, especially if it's overwhelmingly?
No, like I'm just telling you, Black women are not running around saying that they boss is racist. Like I'm just telling you, like I get it. It's good for social media. I'm just telling you.
Okay.
I wish I had Arpain. I wish I had 15 brothers up here who got Black women working for them. I'm telling you, they're gonna tell you that this narrative is not true.
But either man, I'm not saying that what you're saying is untrue, but you can't say in the whole diaspora of the work environment that there's these so-called liberal women in general. They don't have to be Black that make it uncomfortable. Like they're
not liberal at work,
huh?
They're not liberal at work. Listen, they might get off. I'm telling you, it's inside of a work environment. It's hard to even tell what side you on because you're gonna follow the policy. Like I'm telling, we don't talk politics in the office like people think we do.
But that's okay. But that's what you're saying is more anecdotal than anything else.
So you telling me about walking?
Because that's why I can't argue with you because you might be right for the scope of things you're looking at. But to say that women in general don't impact the environment is not true. Go ahead, Black America.
Yes, yeah, you can't. It just like with us at work, and I agree with either man. You cannot talk religion and you cannot talk politics. More people, that is a recipe for disaster.
Well, I agree.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a daggone what you do when you leave. But while you're here, like the two ladies that work in the office, and one of them she drives once a week that none of the guys like to drive to, right? So she drives once a week. But I don't want to hear any religion and I don't want to hear any politics because those are topics that people get overzealous about. And it ends up bad if you got two people on opposite sides. So,
I do not disagree with what you're saying. All right. So one more segment of this thing I'm showing, and then this is the last segment, and I think this is one of them we're gonna have some real conversation about. Okay.
African Americans' higher social media usage is not merely about quantity, but about the platform's central role in their lives. From staying informed and entertained to shaping culture and advocating for change, social media is a vital and dynamic tool for the African American community. 75% of African American internet users engage with social networking sites on a weekly basis with an average of 6 hours a week. This accounts for almost 40% more time on social media than the general US population. Survey results are mixed on which social media platform is the most popular for the Black community. TikTok usage is ranked high with millennials and Gen Z users, followed by Instagram and Twitter, while platforms like Facebook are widely used with older African Americans. Historically, Black universities are a unique and transformative place in American higher education.
You want to say something?
Established primarily after.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah. All right, I'm finna jump off. So I don't like this narrative either, Uncle Payne. It's not the black community. It is Black women. Black women spend more time on social media than Black American women spend more time on social media than anybody on the planet. So when
I don't disagree with that.
So when they're trying to lump us all in, it's just like, oh, all young Black men are YNs, or all Black people have high blood pressure. They try and lump us in instead of separating it. This is a bad thing to lump us all in, because we all, some of us have stuff to do. But I'm gonna jump down. I'm gonna still be listening to you, Uncle Payne.
All right, my man. Thanks for stopping by. All right, so let's go ahead and finish this lady, because I don't disagree with Black America on this one. I think the fact is, I believe that this production was put together by a woman, but that's just my belief. I don't know for sure, but I just think about the amount of women they use for each segment. I think that was a leaning, that especially with the Black man in jail thing, that's something women would say. The truth of the matter is, Black men in jail are still part of the population, and they have a whole bunch of kids out in the real world. So, but this whole thing about social media is overwhelming by women, but I can't talk about women because I'm on social media a lot myself, but I am retired. And I, do pseudo content creation as best I can. But I think the affirmations and the things that the attention that women crave, and it's not just Black women, it's women in general, but Black women for sure, Instagram, whatever it is, they have it bad. So I got a couple of things for that, but let's just finish playing.
African Americans with access to higher education in a segregated society, HBCUs have long served as havens for intellectual growth. Today, while they account for only 3% of higher education institutions.
About HBCUs. So they already finished with the segment on social media. But the truth of the matter is, there's a big negative about social media, the way it's being used. And I wanted to kind of highlight some of that. And we're going to show that. And that'll probably be the last video for the day. All right. So let me start out. There's a couple of segments here. And well, since I got time, I might as well just do it. Play it. I think everybody knows my man. We're gonna let him cook a little bit.
Now and then people might post maybe once or twice a month to just kind of do an update and maybe show that they're on a trip or a major milestone or event. But outside of that, people just don't even see it as worth it to post on social media. And ironically enough, I post the most and engage with the most of the least socials of social media, and that's YouTube. I post on YouTube, but outside of YouTube, I don't really post anywhere else. I like to watch videos on YouTube because I like to see people do cool things, and I like to hear ideas over the long form. And I think that's unique to YouTube. I don't think that's replicated on any other platform. So I enjoy YouTube, which ironically enough is the least social of all of the social medias.
Gone through one of the most dramatic transformations since it began. The platforms that once promised connection, community, and a voice for everyone have devolved into something much more harmful.
Right.
Viral stunts, immature pranks.
Yeah, and when the prank niches became scripted, I think it took away a lot of the authenticity. And I think that's the story of social media. It's dull because it looks like everything else. If that makes any sense. It being so perfect and so good almost just makes it blend in with everything else.
Jack, thank you so much for being here. Question number one, what the happened to Instagram?
Oh man, I love that question.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's what happened. Web 2 sort of emerged in like 2005. Web 2 companies were like Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. The amazing thing
What about MySpace? What about Bebo? Cool websites. Remember Newgrounds? Remember when the internet was a place you come and it just seemed like this new thing where it was expansive and there was so many different things. Like remember the game Ray? Like the game, it was just so cool. You had these like arcade games on Newgrounds, and it just seemed like the internet was almost infinite and had like a certain level of potential. And in just a few years, now it's just only about like 5 major companies. It's like Google, but Google owns YouTube, and then Facebook, but Facebook owns Instagram. And it's like, it's only a few real websites that people actually engage with anymore. I just think that that's interesting. Something that was so infinite and had such an infinite potential just got concentrated into like 6 different websites.
Web 2 was you could like subscribe to a creator. You could follow them, and then you would see the rest of their work as it came to you in the future. This was a new thing. Before Web 2, the internet was mostly read only. Like you log in via AOL or something, and you like can just like read the news. But the amazing thing about Web 2 was for the first time, like people could upload, they could share, they could like broadcast their ideas. And the most profound piece of internet architecture came out of that time. Was this thing called the follow.
As Jack explained it, the follow gave you the power. You decided who you liked, who you wanted to hear from, and who you wanted to fill your feed. It felt like your corner of the internet, a personalized space built around real connections and genuine interest.
Yeah, it made it much more customizable. Yeah.
I only subscribe to people and watch videos that make me happy, inspire me, make me feel positive, uplift me.
But that version of social media didn't last.
Oh, but that positivity doesn't keep you on the app for as long. So the apps are now ran by these algorithms that just want to keep you on the app. And the best way to keep you on the app is to show you something that makes you angry. And that causes division. But there's nobody that stays on the internet longer than somebody who's going in a comment battle, screaming into the void against another person who is opposing them. You come back onto the app just to make sure they didn't message you back so you can send something back to them and see who gets the most likes. Those are the most engaged people who have rage. So rage bait is a huge part of.
In a couple of seconds, they do get to the point of how they keep you here. And it's close because then I'm going to cut this off in the next minute or so. But one of the things, anybody who's here still in the chat, so answer the question, what do you give Black America? What grade? Give it a grade, whatever you feel. And if you want to put an explanation on what the grade is, let me know.
I want to talk about that. You ain't let me talk about that. That's what I came up here to talk about.
Yeah, man. Go ahead. I was going to put that in there. I was going to ask you, what do you want to give the grade?
Well, I said B minus, right?
Oh yeah, you did put a B minus.
But I think what it really comes down to is, what am I measuring Black people to?
Okay.
Am I measuring Black people to where Black people came from? Because if I'm measuring you to our past, I think we're A. If I'm measuring you to my counterparts, when you talk about Mexicans, white people, Asians, I give us a B minus.
I was okay. Yeah, that's good. For me, I would say, how do we measure ourselves where we are now, based on the allegiances we have made in the last 60 years?
Well, I think we made a lot of leaks. So because I wanted to comment on your Black Wall Street, right? So to create Black Wall Street, in your words, we would have to kind of create something separate from white people, correct? Because that's what Black Wall Street was.
Well, that was only because of necessity, right? Not right. So I'm not saying it necessarily has to be. I don't think it has to be separate from white people, but it has to be
Perfect.
black owned.
So if we look at, so this is what we see. We see black companies when they go public. The only option for them to go public is on the stock exchange, which is a white stock exchange, right? All right. So now that we're integrated with white people, people say, well, why black people don't have their own? When people bring up Black Wall Street, they talking about them not having their own stuff separate from white people. And I think that it's unfair for us today, being an integrated race, to try to compare ourselves to a race that was not integrated.
Yeah, okay. So you don't necessarily have to go public to own a big company.
Why not? That's where wealth is at.
No, but you don't necessarily have to go public to have a multi-billion-dollar company.
Tell me, so Liz, tell me one private billion-dollar company. Tell me one.
Listen, I understand going public is the way to get the money to keep going. But depending on what you're selling or what your service you provide, you could have a thriving business that's private. But I'm not saying that's the way to go. And I'm not saying integrating your company in the regular market in general takes it out of black ownership, right? Because we're still talking about who owns most of the company, who has the voting shares, who's the CEO, who governs the way.
I get that, but
I don't. I hear what you're saying, but I don't think that just because you have a public company, that it takes away the flavor that you're trying to, unless you give away control.
Well, okay, so you know Mark Zuckerberg don't own Facebook no more, right? I don't know if you know that, right?
I don't know how much. I hear you. I know he.
Hello. I just want to let you know, for a company to be what we call a legacy company.
Yeah, but you're comparing it to the extreme. You're huge. Every company is not going to get as big as Facebook or Meta.
I know, but the point that I'm trying to help you understand is that if we're going to be able to create black wealth, we can't stun our own growth by saying we only can grow to this limit.
No, I agree with you, but by making yourself public doesn't necessarily mean you lose all ownership. It depends on the company, right? And how many of those shares you give away for the betterment of the company, right? I would imagine Mark Zuckerberg did what he did because for Meta to survive, he couldn't be the majority owner anymore, probably.
Well, I think what happened is I think he was threatened. I think when you get that large, it's not really a conversation of you keep your company or not, right? That's my opinion. And then the second thing is I think it was just one of those things that he ran his course, and I think we don't talk about this enough. It's only I have my limitations, and at some point I'm gonna be at my limitations, and what I have to do is willing to bring now. Mark Zuckerberg is still the CEO. Like he's still making decisions, but he's not the majority owner. He had to find a billionaire.
You're the businessman, so I'm hearing what you're saying. If your company got big enough, you might have to make a decision that changes your complete control, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and what I'm saying is typically the people who have the skills to run a $1 billion company is not black or own. Like if I had a company that was $1 billion and I needed, for example, the Seahawks are being sold right now, right? I don't know if you heard about this, right?
Yeah.
Which is a great time to sell them when they win the Super Bowl. Best time to sell a team, by the way, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
And so when we start having these conversations, is it that they anti-black somebody on it, or is not too many black people that got $7 billion, $8 billion? Like it's that get real narrow if you kind of understand what I'm saying.
No, I do understand
about who can run it at that level.
No, I do understand what you're saying, and I'm saying that the concept of black folks getting together and building something that may actually outgrow them is not a negative to me.
Okay, let's talk about FUBU then. Let's talk about FUBU. Should Damon sell FUBU?
I don't know enough about the company to say yes or no. You tell me.
Okay, so he had grown that company to its peak, and every business have a peak. We just don't talk about it.
Okay.
Every business have a peak.
Okay.
FUBU was at its peak. It was really downhill from there. Someone offered him some money
And
for
he didn't.
FUBU.
Right.
He sold it. And see, this is what we got to be really good at, because I don't think selling the company is a problem, Arpan.
Okay.
I think after we sell, what we do with the proceeds of that money, because Damon now own, I think it's like 700 and some companies, right? So he took those proceeds and he made one company into 750 companies. That's a
Okay.
good decision. But what I think happened in the Black community, we take that money and we go get a trust or something, we go live our life. Like, we don't duplicate the business. So I don't think selling is the problem.
All right. So what you okay. So I think I'm in violent agreement with what you're saying. When I say rebuild a Black Wall Street, I'm saying to do it properly. Like if we had 10 or 20 entrepreneurs who looked at building businesses in an area that the area thrived because those businesses were there, I'm not saying they should limit themselves because they're Black. I'm not saying do that. But it's still the legacy that they would provide. It will be a beacon. If somebody was able to do it under Jim Crow, why can't we do that shit now?
Because we was separate. That's what I keep telling you. It was easy. Hold on. When I only had one option,
wait a second. The fact that we aren't separate now doesn't mean we can't do it.
Yes, it does.
Why?
That's exactly. Let me tell you. Hold on. We do this exercise. Hold on.
You're putting words in my mouth.
Hold on. I'm about to explain it to you. In the military, we did this exercise, right? They broke us up into 10 teams, right?
Okay.
And in this 10 teams, they gave nine of the teams 10 different options.
Okay.
And they said, hey, check this out. And they said, by the way, one of these options is the easiest way. And they took one team, and they took that one team and gave them the hardest option. Guess who won? The team that had the hardest option. It wasn't the 9 teams that had other options, even though they was easier.
What was the hardest option?
The hardest option was twice as much work. It was literally like we learned this in the leadership class. Once we finish this exercise, when you give a person 10 options, even though one of those options are easy, what happened is part of the team gonna say we should do this, that, and then they gonna start going in different directions, which caused them not to complete the mission. The reason that we was able to do Black Wall Street because we had one option, even if that was the hardest option.
I'm hearing you. I am hearing you, but you're saying because you have more options now, you can't rebuild Black Wall Street. I don't agree with that. But I hear the concept of what you're saying.
No, but I believe we have something new that's like Black Wall Street. I do think that we have publicly traded companies, we have billionaires, we have all the mechanics. It just doesn't look like Black Wall Street because Black Wall Street was separated from white people.
I'm with you. Yeah.
So I'm not saying that we can't build wealth. We done built the wealth. We got that. It's just integrated with white people. The reason Black Wall Street was so unique is because everybody in that system was Black who was making money. Now, since we're integrated, white people making money with Black people, and it's just a little bit different. But we do got we got the most billionaires and millionaires we have ever had in the Black community currently.
Right. All right. Hey, Coach Ferg, what you got, man? What's happening?
How y'all doing? Can you hear me?
All right. Yeah, we can.
Oh, what's up, man? Yeah, it's just like inflation. The more we advance, the more we should have those things by default, right? The thing is, we don't have the resources that we can work together in all of it because we are generating millions of dollars every year, right? We almost contributing to at least more than a third of the economy, just us alone, right? The problem is people are not getting back down to the bare roots of being innovative. People are not using their hands. They're not taking the time to just learn basic skills of math and science. Those things still apply. Those things are part of the future. You have to control a robot to do certain things. That comes from innovation. And it's just unfortunate. We fighting to be 100,000-aires, right? And go in our own little bubble and retire and go off. But, I think, listen, I believe as a people, if the slavery in the 60s wasn't our hardest time, then these modern folk, they're going to let it explode in their face. Those people before us are doing way more than we ever could.
Right.
We on YouTube in the air, in the heat, with our feet out, on the soft carpet, soft bed. So that is the hardest time ever. All this soft victimhood, since feminine mindset, either man, listen, I understand, that listen, because here's the thing. Those times were subjugated, and here we all have advanced from it. So boom. But the money, like say somebody, and I do believe there should be some form of separation in a sense, not too much, but the men who's willing to make that sacrifice, they've deleted the best of us on TV, in the public, in our face. And I think it's for the future, there could be someone that says enough is enough.
But it's hard, Coach Ferg. Listen.
Listen, either man, I understand it's hard.
Hold on, let me tell you what's hard first before you respond. After you make your first $1 million, it's hard for you to keep going out there working 40 hours.
Okay.
Like, once you take care of your family, listen, and because this is the conversation. Once you say, I'm good, my kids gonna be good, we got money coming in, it's gonna keep coming in, it's hard to go back out and work another 80 hours. That's one of the hardest things ever.
Either man, everything you just said, I've just completed that roster. I just went up that list in the last 15 years of my life, right? And that's why I appreciate working with young adults than you old. And it is hard, right? And I ain't gonna say it's hard, it's difficult. It's supposed to be a part of the journey, right? But everybody's journey is focused on money. Not a lot of people are focused on the skill and the knowledge that could acquire the money easily. See, you learn the skills, and then it started as you get older. You seeing like money's a part of it. But
you start asking yourself why. Listen,
but there ain't no why. Listen, I can't. You can't soak in the why. You already know the. You already hold up. Every black man in the last 75 years in America know what the why is.
No. This is what I'm saying. That's right. These are thoughts that I fight on a daily basis, right? I work. Hold on. I work 60 hours a week, if not 70. And after I figured the money part out, and I see my daughter now 5, 3, I see all of my kids growing. I'm asking, if I'm getting paid, why am I missing their life? You start asking yourself these questions, like if I'm not out here making money no more, like why am I going to trade these unbelievable times when I already figured out the money? And so that's the point that I keep trying to help people understand is what, and I get when you ain't got no money, you got to work. I get it. But once you start doing that, are you telling me seeing your kids do their first and being able to spend those times is important? Is the black community more important than that?
No. Either man. I love sports. I go to sports every day, every time. I can dream about sports and see it happen in the game. And this is what I'm saying. As a man, like just my son, sometimes being able to show up at those events, work is not, I agree with you, work is not everything. But there also, to me, it comes a time where we sort of have to, and I think we don't get opportunity as fathers in America, allow that father-son bond to grow, because it's all about innovation. It's all about being able to say, okay, my child is growing up. Because that's why I love my father. Every sports game I played, he showed up. He worked every day during the week, but he showed up on my game day. So that was the most appreciative thing. So I understood that he was going hard work because I had a demonstration. I understood he was going to show up. My mother show up. And that brings a lot of encouragement, because the innovation going forward as far as education, how people make money, that's going to have to come with the information parents give and what they learn in school. It's a combination of both. And if people don't.
But the point you're making now, Coach Ferg, is that you agree with what either man says.
I agree to a degree, right? But some people just have to make a decision, because either man is speaking from a lot of black Americans are starting to grow up and realizing that the grift has been played, right? So for individuals to want to go to what you say, Arpain, and what both of y'all are saying, they're going to have to really take a hard look at themselves and get out here. Either man, it's a lot of dudes and females that ain't worked in 20 years since they've been adults, and now they 40. You have to create something in society.
No, I agree with that. Hold on. I think so. The conversation is that R-Pain asked me. He said, "Why we don't see a whole bunch of black businesses, millionaires, like the top of the top business, right?" And as you built this, so you gotta understand. I don't even remember my 20s. Only thing I remember about my 20s is working. That's all I remember. That's gonna tell you what I did. And so now I'm halfway through my 30s. And this is my first time that I pulled my head up and said, okay, let me take a breath, not even a break. Let me take a breath. And then now I'm asking myself, since I figured this money thing out, the money gonna come in. I got real estate, the money gonna come in passive. Do I build a company in the next 20 years for the black community? Or do I sell it or go public so I can live the life with my kids that I always desire? That's the question.
Let me just answer this real quick, because I understand where either man's coming. Now, I'm not an entrepreneur, but the kind of work I had to do took me away from my family. And now in retrospect, if I didn't have to work that hard, I'm thinking about all the times I did miss with my kids in their formative age so I can make the money, right? So if I was on a passive income trip, one way to get it, and to live off of that and get those years back, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
So so to answer your question, the reason I think we don't see a whole bunch of billion-dollar black businesses and all that stuff is because I think black people are valuing things more than these companies and building these big old things that ain't gonna mean nothing after they die.
So
I think our value system is different. That's the point I was making.
Yes. So Edelman, in reference to, because you and I are paying some years apart, right? Are you in a position to take part in what you're talking about today yourself? Are you in that position?
Never work again?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, then.
Listen, I can today say, you know what?
So listen, Edelman, you answered your own question, right? You answered your own question, right? I say do that shit, right? And this is where I can probably sort of help you bridge the gap. You got to go to them 19, 18-year-old, 24, 25-year-olds. You can't talk to people your age. They're not going to listen to you. You're not going to get the same, but I guarantee you get some 18-year-olds or 25, 30-year-olds, you'll change their life, brother. And that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, but the thing is, let me tell you what makes me hesitant of doing it. I have a group of people, so I can sell the company, go away, ride away with the sun. But now I have a group of people that families depend on. See, this is what we don't talk about from a company point of view, right? I can sell it, I can fire everybody, give people severance package, let them go. But now we're gonna start having this conversation of, did I value the people that was around me? Am I that cold-hearted that I'm just gonna dissolve the company for what they done put their blood, sweat, and tears, but I know they ain't got as much money, or they gonna get as much money as me selling the company. And so then I start, because you gotta understand, we talking my brother, we talking cousins, we talking friends, we talking like loved ones. So now this decision of me walking away from the company is not really an individual system, it's almost a family decision.
So Edelman, I'll say this, and I'm gonna give you, this is the advice I would give you, right? Because if you were connecting to all these people, right, and I heard you mention church quite a bit, take all those people, so have a family meeting, a business meeting at the church, and just lay it out to everybody what your moves are, and if they want to take part in expanding for themselves, go ahead. But as far as you right now, your family is most important, and they either rock with you or don't. Other than that, you can't worry about it.
But that's you don't care about the black community. Like,
no, but you can't.
That's anti-black. What you saying is it's pro-family and anti-black community.
No, it's not. Edelman, no, it's not, it's not, because you're giving them a chance to advance on what you started. You trying to get, look, Edelman, is just like getting out of the dope game. You trying to step out the game, but you want everybody else to flourish, and they can't look at you as the crutch because you already gave them the knowledge that they should be able to expand what you started. And you can concentrate on your babies, and everybody get mad.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But if you understand how the business is set up, you might got a cousin that's a janitor. He can't run the company, right?
Well, how you know that? Hold on, how you know, Edelman? You can't say that.
Hey, coach, let me tell you. You know, the point is, let me just jump in there because this is a good conversation between the two of you. I hear where Edelman is coming from, But if I work for him in his company, and I kind of understood where he's at right now, that he's doing this job because he has some allegiance to the people that work for him. They got to know that time is running out. They got to know that at some point you're gonna cash in those chips.
Yes, sir.
And that's one part. The other part for you, Coach Ferg, is that everybody can't do what he did.
I understand,
No
but
matter what, even if they're in this company, they might not have the aptitude to continue what he did.
I understand.
Okay.
It's only one our pain. It's only one our pain. It's only one eater man. That's all I'm saying.
It's
somebody
I do think it's a. I think my kids can keep this legacy going because they cut for me. Like they think like me, they move like me.
Because you got a chance to groom them. Okay, that's
yes.
Right.
You faded out, either
Yeah,
man.
you went on mute. You're on mute.
But that's a great time because he's going to incorporate them. Yes, do it early.
You're mute, either, man. Somehow you're mute.
And some nieces and some nephews the same age. They hungry too. They want to get out here and make an impact in the world.
Yeah. Hey, listen. You know what, Coach Ferg? You're pretty generous with everybody else's money and shit.
Huh? What was that? No, it ain't the money though. It's just the time, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And sometimes you get blessed with the money. You know, that's all I'm saying.
And so, like for example, I was having this conversation.
You went
out. I know. Okay. I had a customer call me, right? So I had this conversation and it almost broke my heart, right? My daughter came to me. This is my 5-year-old. My 5-year-old daughter, and she said, "Dad, I just don't understand why you work 60 hours a week." And she was like, "You know what my dream is?" Imagine a 5-year-old telling you this. This will mess you up. She said, "My dream is I hope I make enough money that you can spend more time with me. If I hope that I find a way that I can make enough money that I can get my dad back."
Yeah, that's deep. How did you answer that, or you kept your mouth shut? Oh my God.
Said, "Baby, give me a hug, baby." What do you say? Like what do you? I was like, "Just give me a hug," because I know that, like, when we start talking about this unconditional love, right?
Right.
And I don't know if you get it forever, but you definitely get it when they're kids, right? When they little kids and feel like it's like you're their superhero in their head. And I just start asking myself that question, and then and to me, I feel like I'm doing the right thing. You got 100% access to your mama. So you get to spend this, but and my 5-year-old is just like me. Like she think like me, she move like me, like she process questions the way that I process questions. And she was like, and she always tells me, she's like, "It gotta be a better way that I can have you home full time. Like it gotta be like she's trying to reason with herself on like,
and you're doing something wrong. You're doing something you need to be in,
Yeah, she just tugging at your heart, man. Now she got you over there just fighting yourself and beating your own self up. She tugged on your heart.
But I hear you guys, man. It is true. It's funny that you're mentioning your kids. My youngest daughter just moved out to her own place, and I tell you, man, I definitely feel some kind of way about that. It really is, but she got to move on. She's 26, and she said, "I got to have my wings spread," and she's working hard. So, but I hear you. I wish I could have got her married, but man, that didn't work out that way.
She still got hope, I pain, man. Some of these dudes just got to grow up first, and they ain't gonna just go into anything.
So, gentlemen, any final? I got your grade C+. Why did you give it a C+, Coach?
I mean, because we always been flirting with a somewhat passing grade. It's just that our small number of degenerates get the most attention because, like Edelman said, we got the most of millionaires and people with money. That means we've always been a progress. They know this, right? And this is why I say some of these things have to be offered young people far as futures, technology education, just given opportunities, not necessarily own a business, but just get out there and work some type of job, skill, labor, man. You're going to get out. As a man, you have to do something.
Coach, before you go on, though, right?
So,
is it, okay, so we also know that social media publicizes and expands the most ratchet of us across the world.
Mm-hmm.
Is it more the people, the bad folks being an influence, or the fact that the silent majority of us are silent against the bullshit.
Yeah, the silent
If you say
majority.
that most blacks are work, most have the best interests in mind, most have some moral standards, some things. Most people don't want to be baby mamas, don't want to be multiple daddies out there. And how come not how come, but is their silence the real problem as opposed to the loudness or the ratchet of us?
Well,
Both of
it's
y'all can
not.
answer that one.
It's not really silence, and this I'm landing here, and I'll let Coach Furr figure it out, right? Finish it out. I ain't figure it out. Finish it out, right? No, so it's not. But you don't understand is social media have been designed to make money.
Right.
That's his old purpose. And if
Okay.
Coach Furr get up there and he talk about how he felt his wife, he had this chaotic situation and everything went as planned, you know what happened? We see two people watching that story. People don't want that
No doubt.
story. And
No
so when
doubt.
you start understanding the algorithm, see the algorithm don't care if it's positive or negative. We gonna feed whatever makes us more advertising dollars. And so when we turn on these apps, people say, why do this look like it's projecting what the whole world is? And what it is negativity literally sells.
No doubt.
It's almost like that. It's that internet video you were saying. They realize if I can get 3 people to argue in the chat, they're gonna be here for 8 hours. If Coach Ferg for 20 minutes talk about how great his life is, they're gonna be gone. So I think they understand that, hey, we gonna push what makes us money. And believe it or not, it's a great business model. It's not a bad business model. Hey, we make money selling alcohol. Even though we know vegetables and all this is good for you, you know what we gonna keep doing? We gonna sell alcohol because that's our money maker.
It's a goddamn shame, but that's the way it is, man. That is the way it is. So you got anything to add to that, Coach, or you agree?
Man, listen, man, down to the root of it, yes, I agree.
Okay.
But however, right, you know what I'm saying, despite that, either man, right, what's the sense of men coming up here and try to preach the other man to be better men and greater men, right, if that's what the system is going to do, which we know is part of it because we all in the same basket. We all trying to scratch and get our little coins too. And that's why, you know, when I look to the future, man, it's going to be scary because people they're bowing out of just, you know, getting out here working like either man working 80 hours. They don't want to work 60 hours. You know, they want to work their 40 hours and go home. When they sign up for a job, they want to give less enthusiasm about doing the job. Even so, it's a lot of talented and creative people right now sitting at home every day, but they don't practice those skills. And we still got little kids growing up. The educational system of old America is going to be gone in the next 10 years. It may not even be the same at all. Well, I predict it's not because they're changing it everywhere. And how else are people going to make money if they're not trying to be innovative?
Well, you know, listen, let me put it this way. You know, that's why the genius of Kevin Samuels, because even though he caused a lot of controversial things with what he did, it actually was educational at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
We got a lot of data, not just about women, but about the interactions between men and women and the expectations that one group had of the other group, you know, and a lot of it was skewed. And but it was still educational. It caused a lot of friction on one side of the aisle. And all of those people back then are coming back and say the man was right.
Yes.
You know, the man was right. So yes. I just think that this was pretty good. Like I called BMU. I said, "Damn, why you put an F on my thumbnail?" You know what I'm saying? Now everybody thinks I'm the villain, but again, it was to get people to listen to this because I don't think it's to tell you the truth. I think we're running at maybe a D+ level because we're leaving so much behind, and maybe it's because I'm a baby boomer. Maybe it's because that I think that the legacy that we've passed down, maybe we got to take a few hit for it. But I think the older generation takes too much of a hit because the younger generation now have more information, more opportunities than ever before, and a lot of people are squandering it. And then not enough people telling them, listen. And I can't tell them because my one guy called, I'm uncle. So I can't tell you shit.
No,
But
you
my
always,
day was different. But so now it's your day. So I don't really know
Granddaddy.
shit. All my years that I was here don't mean a goddamn thing. You're just an idiot and you're old and just pass away with you. And I'm saying, come on. I mean, I might have one or two things that might be beneficial for you to mold and grow into the future. And one of those things, take the albatross off from around your neck about the past and figure out what you want your future to be and work on that.
Yeah,
You know,
for
and
sure.
not enough people do that. Not enough people think about their future because every time I talk to black folks, they keep giving me the old woe is me story about what the fuck happened back in the day. I'm
Yeah,
talking about right now. What do you want to do now?
Listen, man, you always have a great show, great topics, man. Salute to BMU, man. Listen, I'm gonna tell you like this, man. It ain't with these 45 and overs, man. It's over. It's down. Just hit some 18-year-olds in a controlled environment. They'll take everything you got, man, and grow 20-fold. I promise you. But again, man, I'm just glad, that in America, man, you got to do your part. I did my part.
Yeah.
I'm officially retired from coaching. That was my last season, man. Listen, man.
Oh, is it? Are you officially retired, man?
Yeah, I'm officially retired, man. I'm no longer filing taxes. I'm getting my money.
What you mean no longer filing? Oh, you mean
hey,
you
man, I'm getting. Hey, America, great, take care of me.
You don't have to. What you mean you don't have to file taxes?
I ain't got to file, so that's it. That's all you get. I don't got to file.
You gotta tell me how did you manage to do that?
We can talk later.
You got my email.
Yeah,
Shit,
well,
man.
and I'm all legal. I'm only doing all legal stuff. See, my hands clean. No, I'm just saying to the audience, I keep my nails clean. I don't do nothing dirty. What's up? I clean up my house,
you
but
got my email.
I'm in my yard. But
if I could get out of that going paying taxes, I would love to do that.
Salute, man. No, man, I think both of y'all was right, man. You know what I'm saying? We should be, especially the younger generation, they got opportunities that we would never afford it. And they have the openings. Right now, it just goes to show how we've been groomed over the last 35 years, man. A lot of grown men I think with the ladies, our paying men are different, right?
What about the ladies?
Because they not going for the okie doke anymore. Guys are standing up against the ladies because they now just have a voice against a lot of them sisters. A lot of these dudes grew up with women like this in their family. I don't know why they think it's new. They've seen it growing up. We got cousins like that. We got aunties like that. But I think it's a good thing for men in that capacity. But as far as the world take in America, you have to always put in work in America.
Black Manosphere, you got to get on camera if you want to come.
You got to provide a service. You have to be able to do something. And a lot of dudes are behind the 8 ball because if they doing with robots, computer, if you ain't really trying to up your skill level, your education level, your service level, then as a 40, 45-year-old man, that ain't really bringing in nothing.
Okay.
You ain't gonna have no Social Security because you got to pay into that.
I do hear you.
I pay you can retire and take care of yourself and your family for the rest of your life because you put in the work.
Right.
A black man in America can't afford to wait till he's 35 and 40 and say, I'm gonna go get a job. No, it don't work like that.
No, you can't. It don't.
So
yeah, we had a guy in the back. They got to come on camera. Hey, listen, come back in the future, Black Manosphere, if you can, but you got to be on camera. You got to be prepared for that. That's just one of the channel rules. That's just a channel rule. I can't even break that one. Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, man. So that was your last words there.
Yes, sir, man. Black man said Black man said D+, but black man, you the big unks, man. Y'all the big unks, man.
I said that. You know what? I'm on his channel, but that's me. I put D+ in it.
Oh, okay. Oh, my bad.
Listen, I'm all for the black community and stuff like that. But I think we've fallen so short and that we can't smell our own doo-doo. You know what I'm saying? And we have a whole bunch of blacks who have progressed to the point where they're making a living, they can raise their kids. But with all the allegiances that we've made on one side of the aisle for the last 60 years, I think even the poorest of us should be further ahead. There's so many promises never kept, and we keep acting like we could ignore that and keep voting for the same old crap. And I think that makes it, I think that liberalism, socialism, and all that kind of stuff destroys the Black spirit, as opposed to getting out there and earning your way, even if it's tough, because you make your own way.
Yes.
And you can, sometimes you need a hand out, but a lot of times when you're moving in the right direction, those hands appear from places you might least expect it, because they see you trying to put the work in. And sometimes they don't appear, but for the most part, every man and woman who've made something out of their lives, they could tell you the point at where it turned for them because they kept pounding on that door. That's what I believe. Anyway, Coach, thanks a lot. We're going to get out of here. How long we been here? Well, this is pretty good, man. I didn't have no expectations about today as much as I did, but I appreciate you coming up. Man Williams, Dahlia's here. What's that? Zakana Carter, I believe. I don't know if that's Corner, if that's the way you pronounce it. Zakana. A few other folks. I appreciate you being in the chat. And I'm here every Monday, and I try to be every Monday at 7:00 Eastern, and we'll be here for the next. I just kind of make up these things that we're going to talk about as I go, and I try not to be so one-sided or political. I might come back talking about something relationship-wise next week, I should say. And, next week, Black Man Unfiltered, I'm gonna be off because I'm taking my wife out of the picture for her birthday on next Monday. So next Monday I'm gonna be off, everybody, and that'll be cool because just me and the Honey Bunny, we're gonna be doing something, and to keep my marriage going into the 40s, 40 years and shit. Anyway, brother, all right, man. Let me. So I guess that's fine. All right, good. Take it easy, man. I guess that's my end. Guess what? No song for you guys today. You know what I'm saying? So it was a good show. I'm glad it came off. I thank Black Man Unfiltered for that damn thumbnail, because that shit kind of made me a little bit nervous to begin with, because I wasn't going to come out calling the Black community the F. And now I'm forever branded as calling the Black community a F with this damn thumbnail. But if you guys believe that, then click on the replay and see what we really talked about. And that'll be cool. Make sure you put a comment in, if not in the chat now, in the comment blocks on replay, and then we'll go from there. With that, everybody else, no outro songs. That Black man don't have no outro song for this today. So that's cool, man. And he took that thing off the end stream. So we're going to just end the stream, and we'll see you not next week, but the week after. I'll be around this probably sometime if they have flipping tables, or Friday night if they have the barbershop. I'll probably be around. Good night, everyone. Good night, Catelia. Thanks for stopping by.